classes, it's me, Mr. Ashworth, really missing teaching at the moment. But what I'd like to do is just take a couple of minutes to tell you how I'd like you to try and do the chemistry, the physics or the science learning that you're doing at the moment and talk you through how I've set the lessons up really. So what you're looking at right now is a slide that I've put on at the start of every piece of project learning work that I've uploaded onto Show My Homework, and I need you to really go away and read this slide yourself. But if we go through it now, you'll see at the top I've put this statement. All I expect you to do is what you can do. We have all got challenging situations at the moment, and if you can do anything, then that's a bonus. So there's really 3 tasks that I've set, but what I really want you to do is set aside time for science to work through these tasks. Now, I'd hope that you could complete task A. I'm going to talk to you about that in a moment. And for most of you, I hope you get through quite a bit of task B. And I've put an extension task for those students because I know there's students out there who've got in touch and said, can we do a little bit more? Or it might be something that you're really interested in, some extra science learning that you can do. First off, I do not expect you to print off any materials. What I've done on Show My Homework is upload one document, so when you open that document it will take through the work and the information that you need, and I've done it as a PDF file, which means that it will open on all devices, even your mobile phone, and you might be able to use it to pinch the screen and make it larger and see what you've got to do. Now, I've no problems with people printing anything off, but I've kind of done it like that because I know we've all got different situations. We might not have those facilities. So please use your phones, use your computers, laptops, anything that you've got to access the work, whatever device you're listening to this on really. Now your work really should be done in your science book, but if you do not have this, please use pen, paper, or you can type on a computer and save it in your own format. I do not mind because I know some of you have got in touch and said you've left your books in school. As long as you record the work and save the work so you've got it for when we do return to school. Now this one's really important. The only work I ask you to upload to Show My Homework is a photo or an electronic copy of one piece of your amazing work that you've done. Just one photo. That's just to show me that you've done something, and I can make a note of that and I can go on the system and give rise points and credit people for where that's being done. You don't need to send me more than that. It just shows that, yeah, you've seen what you had to do and you've made a good effort, and I want to be able to celebrate the fantastic effort that you put in. Every piece of work, when you see it, lasts for 2 weeks, at which point when I go back on to Show My Homework I can see who's done what. And I hope, like we said, that you've definitely done task A. So let me talk you quickly through the 3 types of tasks that you will get given. Task A will always be some work that's based on a lesson, some new learning, and it will follow the structure of the books that we've probably used in school. I'll always put a piece of information on a slide with some tasks, like for example, copy the title, learning objective and keywords, just like we were in a lesson. Then I'll ask you to read through a next page of information, and then I'll give you some information to do or make. For example, it might be copy the key points, it might be able to maybe to make some brief notes under subjects, copy a diagram, and then there'll be some questions to answer. You'll notice I'll always ask you to do some questions, and I'll put a challenge question on at the end, which I don't expect you to do. That's just to push you. So this is how lessons work. You've all been in my class. You know that the lessons are set up like this. You've got the title, the objective. This is just an example. I think it's a year 10 lesson looking at it now. So whether you're in year 7, 8, 9 or 10, the same format will always apply for your lessons. This is an example of the pages of information. And when you look at the screen now, it'll look really small. There's lots of text, there's lots of diagrams. And the most important thing is read this carefully. It's got the text in a way that if I was teaching you, I'd probably try and explain it just like that. So that's why it's really important to read the information a few times. And I'd suggest whatever page you're reading, it probably takes at least 5 minutes to go through and read that information. Now, this is the point where if you're using a mobile phone, it's really small, but I've tried it myself. And if you pinch in, pinch out, you can make the screen bigger and go through that. The questions will have been on that page, but I'll put another slide up where you can see the questions really big. And I'll have a slide with all the answers to all the questions that you've done. So you can go through and you can tick and you can see the mark schemes for what you've done. Now, on some points, I might have put like a link to a video clip where you can watch some extra information, so just look out for that. But overall, the hard work is you reading through the resources and the materials and then you doing the work, and I know you'll do fantastic at that. Let me talk you through the second task. I'm calling this task B, and I hope you can do that, especially my Key Stage 4 classes, any separate groups. I definitely expect you to do this, but it's a lot about time and what you can manage. Okay, and like going back to my original point before, so task B will always be based on some learning you've previously done, and maybe that's a revision type resource. For example, Key Stage 4, it will be based on My GCSE Science, and you'll see a link here to take you to My GCSE Science, all the information about how you log into it. Remember, this is year 9 and year 10 now, how to log in, and you'd follow the simple science strategy to do a piece of work and revision. And I expect you to, for task B, to produce probably a page of notes, revision notes, and I ask you to do a minimum of one side of A4, so that may be a minimum of a page in your book. Be creative, you don't have to just write notes, you could do a poster or a mind map or flashcards, and I'll always give you some indication of what I'd like you to research. So if you look on the screen now, for this particular piece of work, I'm asking students to research atoms, elements, compounds and mixtures, and this is just straight from My GCSE Science. So that shows you the video clips when you go in to see. I've put a go further thing. When you read the instructions, there are some multiple choice questions and exam questions to try. So that's Key Stage 4. Key Stage 3. So this is year 7 and 8. In year 7 and 8, there's some brilliant lessons on the BBC Daily lesson for all subjects. So I'll put a link onto a science lesson that BBC have done, which again takes you through some information. I'm just circling a little bit about what it looks like, and it gives you some activities to do as well. So I'd like you to try those if that's you. Now, just a quick one. Any classes, if I only teach you 1 or 2 times, I wouldn't expect you to do all this. It's just to keep people going. Okay. If you've got this far, well, you're doing absolutely brilliant. I can't ask for any more, really. But I'll just go through my final point on the next slide. So I've done some extension tasks and they're pretty self-explanatory if you want to try them. There's 3 different types. One's based on the coronavirus chemistry lesson that I put up online. Another one is based on the BBC bite-sized lessons, and another one is about research that you might like to do off your own back. But this is really important. It's completely optional. It's just for those students that if you run out of things to do, you want to push yourself a bit further, be my guest. So just as a quick recap, we've all got our own personal circumstances. Your health and well-being is the primary concern. Nothing's more important than that. We've made really good progress. All my groups, you work so hard that I know when we get back into lessons, we can catch up and revise, recap what you've done. So whatever you can do is what I expect you to do. Always start at task A. That's the most important. New bits of learning, then task B, and if you've got a chance, go for the extension. Thank you so much for listening. I'll keep bobbing in to show my homework and wherever possible, reply as soon as I can if you have any questions. But I want to say good luck, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you again in the classroom soon.